The table makes good viewing for Liverpool fans. Arne Slot's men on top, a point ahead of City and Arsenal. Aston Villa dropping points at Ipswich means Chelsea sneak into fourth on goal difference. Fulham also flying high after ending Nottingham Forest's unbeaten run. Meanwhile, at the other end of the table, Manchester United slip a further place down into 12th. Ipswich and Everton both climb up the ranks. Sean Dyche's team getting a very welcome first victory of the season against Crystal Palace, who dropped into the relegation places and remain winless. Undoubtedly, the biggest story of this weekend is the fact that we are all here on Monday and ready to talk about another weekend in the Premier League. Ian Wright obviously introduced already, so we got Righty, Jules and Jules. What a Monday.
It's a good Monday.
Yeah,
it's a great Monday, especially, when your team wins on the weekend. It's always the weekend's always better. Always better, Jules.
Yeah. Sean is still smiling, though.
I'm always smiling.
Well, why wouldn't he? He supports Man City. What is there not to smile about? Your team's the best.
Is that you trying to play a little
I'm
bit?
not trying to... No, your team's the best. And we say it all the time when we speak. If we can get anywhere near you lot, we're happy. So you lot are too great. So I don't know.
The story this week, though, is the other side of Manchester.
Yes.
Because obviously 3-0 loss to Spurs at home. Were Spurs just that good, or were Manchester United just that bad?
I think that we should, Jules, start with how good Spurs were, because it's not like something that's just happened just because Man United might be off form. The way Spurs have started and the way Spurs play under Ange is to press high. Yes, they've got Van der Ven if they do have somebody go over the top, but they press high, they win the ball up there. I think they've done it in all the games this season so far, at least 8 turnovers. The problem they're having is the finishing, but in respects of what they've done, what Ange has done, and why when they were playing poorly, and people were having questioning Ange, you're saying, no, we've got to stick to what we're doing, because that's what they're practicing, that's what they're planning. And yesterday we saw the maximum of what Tottenham can get out of it when they do it properly. People will talk about how bad Man United were, but Tottenham made them look bad. They really, really did with the way they played them yesterday.
Yeah, and without Son as well, but I suppose the headline will be Manchester United just because of what we saw, the way in which they lost. I know they were down to 10, but were they already being outplayed before that?
Way before they went down to 10 men. I think from the minute go, Spurs put their game plan into action and Man United couldn't deal with it. They kept getting caught in bad areas. Spurs were capitalised on it. There was a period of the game where it's like Man United couldn't get out of their box. Now, I don't see things normally happen like that at Old Trafford. You think back to the days when everyone was scared to go there, and I think Murray mentioned it in his interview, and he basically just said, look, everyone used to be scared to go to United. It's a fearful place, whereas now anybody that goes there believes they can win. That's anybody.
It's just, Jules, when you watch them, it's, again, like Ten Hag's coming into, this is his 3rd season. Yeah. And I've been looking for the pattern of play, what they're trying to do. Remember, he's talking about wanting to be the best transitional side, and then he went to like a man-to-man kind of situation. And we're 3 years in, Jules, and I still don't know what they're doing. And watching that game, with Spurs being in such control, I couldn't find any way, apart from Garnacho breaking, that they were going to build enough momentum and skill and a performance to get past Tottenham to beat them. I just couldn't see it. You just look at his position now, Jules, and it really is starting to get tight for him. He's got a number 2 behind him, who's obviously wants to be a number 1. You've got the international break coming up in a couple of weeks. They have to look at that, and they have to look at everything that's happened before in respect of Man United, probably giving him the job again because they won the FA Cup. And so, basing the decision on that alone, Jules, says that they're not putting a lot of deep thought into the future of what they're trying to do. Because I'd be very surprised now if you see Ten Hag still there after the international break with what we've just seen.
And there's 2 games to come, Porto in the Europa League on Thursday night, and then away at Villa on Sunday in the league, and then they will have Brentford at the end after the international break. I think he's got 2 games to... It's not even save his job, because the crisis will come back as soon as they lose again, and they will lose again because they are that bad. They're just a bang average team. They're 12th in the table, that's where they belong. This is it. Because, like the boys have said, there's no plan, there's no tactics, there's no structure to them. Even if your key players are not performing, at least if you've got a good structure and an understanding of how you want to play with and without the ball, you will be okay.
Yeah.
If your key players don't perform like yesterday, for example, Bruno Fernandes, Rashford, etc., but you have no structure, no plan in place, then you're all over the place. And that's what they've been, not just this season, but last season. Let's not forget, last season was their worst ever in Premier League history. So it's not like, this is nothing new. We've been repeating, every time we're here on the show with Wright and Kelly or you, Jules, we said the same thing about United. It's a shambles every time. So I'm not sure why people are surprised.
You know what as well, Jules, just quickly with Arsenal when they went down to the 10 men, and obviously against City, arguably the best team in the world. And I was getting it from Man United pundits, man. They were cooking me about, they're not even trying to get out. The great Arsenal not even trying to get out and try to place. And I watched them trying to still go forward when they should be consolidated, coming back. And maybe taking the tactics what Arsenal done and say, listen, we're not getting anything going. Let's just make sure that we just, stay solid. And, they kept going forward. Just came back, hit them on the break. So I said, you can imagine what the WhatsApp messages was like. And I was cooking people in there, man. I was cooking people in there.
Let the man cook. Let's look at the goal. Let's start with the opening goal, right? Because we did say, and you said, Sean, that before they went a man down, before the Fernandes red card, Spurs were already in control. And interesting that all of you have talked about the structure of Man United. It's very clear. Coming into this game, you had two teams in a similar position on the table, similar points after the same number of games played. And yet one yesterday had a plan and a structure, you can see where they're going, and the other, it felt, didn't.
Well, you look at this goal and, he's gone past, maybe 6 players there, because there's no plan for when Man United break, if they lose the ball, who's going to be where for this situation. What you normally do on a training pitch when you're playing like that is, right, if he loses this here, Rashford loses it there, then Ugarte, you could see in that clip there, he's still on the right, he doesn't come over. Van der Ven runs all the way down that side, and if you looked at the other angle, Ugarte is the one that's now trying to challenge him when he's getting, that's him there. He should have come across. That is down to structure. Yeah. When we are breaking, we have to make sure we see what's going on behind us, and that is why Van der Ven is able to run all the way through their team, because they don't know what to do structurally when they lose it going forward.
But also, Dad, I think that the players in that situation, maybe some of it, the manager, Ten Hag, tactically needs to sort out, but the players have to see that.
Recognise the danger.
Send the ball wide. Don't just let him run through the middle. I think it was unfair on Ugarte. It's a hard game for him to start his first game in, so fast attacking. The game passed him by. He isn't used to the tempo yet. But fullback, just come inside. That doesn't exist. He just passes the ball wide. But once he's running, the fact that nobody even tries to take a yellow card or tackle him is just crazy. But he has the quality to put a decent ball in the final.
Yeah, but he's got the quality to do that. But at the same time, like you said, they've got to push him. You've got to be ready for that. You've got to recognise as Man United. We saw him do it early on in the season. He scored Van der Ven. We've got to make sure that if Van der Ven does this happens. That didn't happen.
And on Wednesday night against 20 in the Europa League, when they concede their goal, the right back goes through the same thing. And they clearly haven't learned for this. But I don't know if we can see the wide angle again, but you look at Diogo Dalot's marking of Brennan Johnson.
Oh gosh, it's so bad.
It's an embarrassing. If
so
we can see it, you see at the top of the screen.
Yes, you do. It's
because
brilliant.
There's a moment where he's not far from him, and then he just gives up. Look, so you see at the top of the screen now. They're almost similar. They're almost on the same level.
He's just got to keep going.
Diogo Dalot doesn't even run back.
No.
And Brennan Johnson is the easiest of tapping. And Diogo Dalot puts his hand up saying sorry boys, it's my fault. What do you mean you're not even trying?
Come on. And so again, Man United fans would look at it and you think to yourself, what is going on there? We could go on and on about our back, but something has to change. This is not good enough, because the players are good enough. But the manager, whether it's the manager or the players, it's not working. It's not working.
So my question is, we're all talking about the manager and his future and whether he has a future at Manchester United, whether he should go. What about the players? How much responsibility is up to them? How much do they need to shoulder that responsibility?
Absolutely, of course they do. But it's easier to do it when you've got a structured play, because when you've got a play and you know exactly what you're doing in it, then it's up to you to deal with your individual performance. When you don't know where you're going and you're just running trying to save face because fans are looking and they want to see if you're trying hard enough or not, that's not going to help you. You still need to, even if you're in bad form, know that I'm playing to a structure so that at least I can play in the structure and play myself back into good form. Who knows? Have the players checked out? Maybe they're looking, they see Ruud coming as a number 2, like I say, probably got ambitions to be a number 1. So already that kind of undermines the manager and everything he does in training, because they'll be looking at it. Ruud is, like I say, he's there waiting. The form's not getting any better. They've got tough games coming and an international break. And something has to change soon. And I do feel for him, But I do believe that at Man United, he's had more than enough time to be able to sort this out. He's spent nearly 600 million or over 600 million pounds. You know what I mean? I'd love to make a case for him.
And this is his team. Sorry, before you go,
You're
Sean.
fine.
This is Onana in goal, his player. Mazraoui, Delirte, his signings. Okay. Martinez, his signing. Joe Gonzalo was there before he arrived. Mainu, he promoted him.
Yes.
Ugarte, his player. Garnacho, he promoted him. Zirkzee, his player. So this is, there's a few injuries, but don't give me the Lenny Yoro excuse. The kid is 18.
Yes.
I know he could do a good job there, but he's not the reason why they're so bad. So this is on him, his team, and yet he still asks for more time, like he did in his pre-match press conference, which is ridiculous after 3 years. And he said yesterday after the game, "Oh, don't look at the progression." Sorry? A manager saying like, "My team is not improving, but don't worry, that's fine." You know, this is what you're here for, to make your team better and your players better. And he's not doing that, and he's. It just winds me up so much.
It's sad.
Yeah,
It's sad.
that was going to be the question about, you know, the fact that these are his players, this is his team. Can we understand how he wants them to play? Can you see it? Can you see glimpses of it?
Nothing. I try to compare it a bit with, like, say, the Vincent Kompany situation at Burnley. He got a lot of stick for playing his way, making mistakes. But one thing everybody always said is, we can see what they're trying to do, but they're making these mistakes. They're trying to pass out from the back with no structure, no plan to where they're going to move the ball forward to, but still making the same mistakes. And in many ways, he's getting less criticism than Vinny did when he was doing it at Burnley. And in many, he has better players as well than what Vincent did it with. He has way better players in that Man United squad that he should, for me, be doing way better with a team that he has. They just rely on moments all the time. It's all about Bruno doing something, or if Rashford turns it on, or Garnacho or Diallo. Kobe playing wonderful as he normally does, control it, but they don't have a structure.
Why did you feel for Bruno?
I felt for him because you could see he's one of the players that whatever situation Man United find themselves in, he's giving 100% to try and win the game. Whether that's over-exuberance in his challenges, whether the shot, the passes, the running about, the crazy closing down sometimes, but he's trying to do something. And even that tackle with Maddison, as much as we could see that it looked dangerous in the grand scheme of things, but when we saw it, his foot slipped, his foot went out, it wasn't studs up, it was like a trip. I believe with somebody who's already in a yellow, right? For somebody already in a yellow, the referee could easily say, listen, Bruno, I know it's intense, I know you're losing, but you just need to calm down, you're the captain. Bam. Not even, you know what I mean, not even a thought. When you look back at this challenge, he slipped, his legs caught him, you know, it's even his calf. I think his calf caught him. You know, James Maddison doesn't help with the way he's gone down, but when you watch it, right, in that motion, it looks like, oh my God, he's caught him high. But when you watch it here, look, come on, you know? Come on, have a look at that and say, you know something, that's not as bad. It's a trip. He's been sent off for what, dangerous play? You know, it's really sad. And like you see him talking to him there, saying, so why go down like that for me? If he doesn't go down like that as well, as much as like Bruno slipped and everything, the referee probably might say to him, we know you're losing, we know it's tough for you, it's the pressure, but just calm down, you're the captain. Bam. Why can't those things happen?
He actually did an interview after, which, you know, is not...
Yeah, I felt sorry for him when I listened to the interview.
Usual,
I felt sorry for him.
And I think there must be frustration from United players because they don't play well. They were outplayed for 42 minutes until the red card. And players are smart. They talk with friends who play in other teams and stuff like that. United players would see Spurs and what Ange has done in a year and a little bit. They would see what Iraola has done at Bournemouth. They would see what Unai Emery has done at Aston Villa in less time than Ten Hag, and they think like, what about us? Why can't we get someone with a clear identity, a clear philosophy? And like Shoni said, you play it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, you keep playing it because this is what you believe in. Ten Hag doesn't believe in anything. They don't do anything on that pitch.
I want to move on to Spurs, but I want general consensus. Ten Hag has to go?
Well, it's a tough one. I'd never say someone has to go. I just feel that his position, like, at the moment, doesn't look good.
I think if Man United want to improve, if he doesn't do it, then, yeah, the next man has to come in and put that in play.
So should he go or not?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
So you were comfortable on the fence, but you wanted to push him off.
I want to push my son off.
Yeah, no, see what I mean? He's sitting on the
the young ones.
He's sitting on the fence. See that?
Come on.
You said they needed a change. You said it earlier.
Yes, I did.
So
you know what I mean? I just, you know something. We know that it's probably something that should happen. But, you know, it's always horrible to say that someone.
of course.
But like at the same time, this is Man United.
Yeah,
They should
he has to go.
Absolutely.
Yes? No problem. Let's talk about Spurs and what they did well, because this is a big win for them. It's a big
Massive.
statement for them at Old Trafford. They've got a little bit of an unbeaten run going against United, but this was a big win.
It's a big win, and a win for Ange Postecoglou simply because of the fact that he started to seem to get, since from the start of the season to now, and what they're trying to do, how they're trying to play. And listening to his interviews when he's saying things like, you know, the boys know what we're trying to do. We're going to keep sticking to doing what we're doing, the high line, the high press. And what we've seen in all the games, like I say, they've been, turned over the ball 8 times in all the games. That's unbelievable. Obviously, they know they've got the insurance of Van der Ven. So the major question is, if anything happens to him, what happens? But in respect of what they've tried to do, the fact that he's stuck with it, and the players now, especially Kulusevski dropping off into that 8, it looks like a whole new offensive like player they've got in that area of the field. And so they've stuck with it, stuck to the guns, and they've got pace up front, they've got good midfielders, and they've obviously got good defenders. Goalkeepers better than average. You know, you're now starting to see it, and it's only Tottenham now who have to be consistent in what they do. That's what it is, and obviously for injury to Van der Ven, you probably think that they're going to be a little bit stumped, but everything what Ange has done and was trying to do in the way he wants to play, we saw it happen yesterday.
Yeah, quite keen to talk a little bit more about Kulusevski. We saw him scoring the goal right there, just the role that he plays.
It's almost, when I was watching the game, it almost reminded me a tad of some of the positions, say, a Dennis Bergkamp would pick up, because back in the day, it was 4-4-2, but Dennis used to always drop away from the front man into those spaces in between the midfield and defence. And I think he's strong enough, he's got the quality enough, and once he gets turns and he drives at people and makes those final third runs, he will create chances. And this finish here for me was a special finish for a winger stroke midfielder. That is a striker's finish.
It's just have a player with that kind of capability. Everybody's thinking he's a winger coming in off the right, but to be able to draw, it's Kai Havertz kind of energy.
Yeah. Something like that.
You know, where he can come in off the right. Obviously, Kai can play down the centre as well, but for him, with his technical ability, his pace, his passing a bit, it was perfect for him. They've really unearthed something with him playing in that 8 there.
He even played as a false 9 when Solanke was injured. And I think Ange likes him there too, because he's really strong and he can keep up the ball quite well. Plus, he's got a great engine. So.
Even with Solanke as well.
Yeah.
You know, I watched Solanke's game yesterday, and I've watched it even from the start of the season to now. I watched his game. He's doing all the other stuff. Everything's right. That's why I was really happy for him to get that little tap in, because he ran them all over the place.
Yeah.
His link-up play was fantastic. If he could just add goals, like Tottenham, if Tottenham are going to press high and win the ball high, or win the ball in that mid-block and set people free like Timo Werner, they have to take those chances.
Yeah.
I was pleased for him here. When you watch his movement on this one, when the ball's in the air and he's coming over there, Jules, he's the only one moving from his position into that position, watching the ball come in, and that is when you know somebody is sharp. All his games, all tight, and he's sharp enough to know this is coming off, he's going to flick it, I'm going to gamble, and you get a tap in.
You mentioned Timo Werner there. Actually, just forgot, it could have been more. It was 3-0, but Spurs had opportunities. Werner had a couple himself.
Yeah, well, again, we know what Timo's capable of in respect of pace, and obviously what Ange could see he's capable of doing. If Timo could finish those chances, what he gets when he blasts away, because he does so much for the team, defensively as well as offensively, that if he was able to finish those chances, which he gets so regularly, then he would be a major problem to everybody.
But then he wouldn't be a sub at Spurs, though.
But this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. He would not be a sub at Spurs. And you're right. You're right, because when you look at the chances, it's not like they're difficult. He's running through on goal as a top striker, top international striker. Misses them too much.
Yeah, he's got to at least make the keeper work harder than he does.
They don't work.
It's just kicking it straight at him.
Keepers don't work.
So
it's frustrating.
Yeah, he is a very frustrating player to watch, especially from someone that I played on the wing. And those, where he came in those areas, they're normally the easier chances, because you don't just have to hit across the face of the goal. You can kind of go both ways on the goal, so you expect him to do a lot better there.
I think that the problem will come is if Spurs continue to play well, Jules, and they're doing well in the latter stage of the season, if he starts guessing, that's when it will then he'll realise how much of a problem it is for him. because the fans will let him know.
Ange put a bit of pressure on himself, saying, I always win things in my second season. Where do we think he's at with Spurs right now?
I think that if we're going to judge it off of his last result, which is the last game's the one you judge, you hope it lives well in history. But he's confident in himself. He's confident enough in himself to say that, Jules. And when you look at the way Tottenham play, obviously injury's key. You know, you could see that Tottenham side, if they can take, winning a trophy. You could see them. You could see them winning a trophy. I'm not saying the Premier League or the Champions League, obviously, at the moment, but like that Tottenham team could win a trophy this season.
I think the Europa League, because there's no teams dropping now from the big one down, I think they'll have a chance. And then, obviously, in the two domestic cups, I think the league is a bit too far. But when Plan A works, like yesterday, it works great. The thing is, they only have Plan A, so they can do that better. But against Arsenal, they got stuck away at Newcastle. They got beaten because they were a bit naive again in transition defensively. But when their Plan A, their press works well, their counter press works well, and they're solid defensively, then they can beat anybody on their day.
Yeah, and still did that without Son as well yesterday.
Yeah. Yes, that says a lot for the system and the way Ange plays. I think people forget that teams can always play well, but if they play within a system, sometimes when people are injured and somebody comes in, that system still works. And all people have to do is do the job they're told to do within that system. And although Timo misses those chances, he still does the job he was told to do in that system, and that allows Spurs to do what they did at Old Trafford.
Okay, that's next up on Thursday in the Europa League, a trip to Portugal. Let's go back to your pre-match comments. You said what was crucial today was to see some discipline. And he's just mentioned the big amount of ill discipline in the Manchester United performance.
It's every week, though, Steve. That's why I spoke about discipline. You thought Ugarte was it come to solidify that middle of the pitch and bring discipline to a team, and you think, what was it, 2 minutes? And they've gone right through you. He spoke there about the press was wrong. I didn't see a press. And in all honesty, in a game against Tottenham who played the way they do, I don't think there was need for a press, because Tottenham keep the ball really well. All you have to do in that game today, it was quite an easy game, I thought, tactically, stay in positions. Don't let them come through you. And as I say, after 2 minutes, they've come through them straight away, and the amount of times they break through on them, stay in your positions, just play them correctly, not keep the spaces tight, don't let anybody play through you, and you will get chances, because they take a massive risk. And United's strength, as we've said before the game, was the two wide players. Now, the quality on the ball's another thing. You can't always blame the manager for that, but the quality on the ball was horrendous. The amount of times they did turn over possession. They were playing passes that was being read easily. Garnacho was running with it far too much, kept getting taken off him. Marcus looked like a player the last week. You thought, yeah, we're getting Marcus Rashford back, and he just looked to slump back into his old ways again. Xerxes, with United centre-forwards, I think they're better without a centre-forward. I don't think Xerxes at this point, now he's a young player, you've got to give him time, of course you are, but he's not good enough at this stage of his career and for where United are. United look a lot better in these bigger games. You think of City as an example in the cup, when they play with just a false nine, really, whether it's Bruno Fernandes, whether it's Marcus Rashford, and they've got to find a way of shoring that midfield up, because the players they've got trying to do it, I don't think Manu particularly plays the position well. I think he's a little bit all over the place. Ugarte we saw again, and I constantly keep mentioning it. When your midfield players going out to the right-hand side, going out to the left-hand side, it just causes havoc for everyone. And I put Bruno Fernandes in that as well. He has to play with discipline, but that comes from the manager. The manager has to tell him, look, you're number 10, you stay there, you make our team. The number 10's job is to make your team play football. Now, if you're here, there, everywhere, showing a lack of positional sense, your team, it's impossible for you to play football. Now, it's very difficult for these young players to come into this team. Ugarte is a prime example, but when you're brought in to do that, as I went on before about recruitment, you have to bring players in that are better than what you've got. And at the minute, they're shown as if probably on a level, maybe even a level lower, and you're spending, well, what they spend, I don't know, 300 million, whatever it is, and there's absolutely no improvement.
Let's speak to your former teammate Andy Cole again, back at Old Trafford. Cole, you're listening to Scholesy there. What did you make of today and everything?
What do you want me to say after that? I've got to be honest, there's not a lot I can say after that. I think it's disappointing day at the office. For some reason, Manchester United, being a home team, were all over the place. It didn't have to be the home team. Scholesy touched on it. Play your positions. Tottenham will come out and try and hurt you, and then you have the opportunity to go and hurt Tottenham on the counter-attack.
And we're talking about, and the manager was as well, about a lack of discipline. I mean, is that acceptable for a big home game like that today?
No, because to play for a club like Manchester United, you've got to have discipline. That's first and foremost, that's what you've got to have. You've got to keep the football, and you've got to try and entice teams to come out and try and play a little bit, and then you hit them on the counter-attack, or you keep the ball well enough to open them up and create chances for them. And Manchester United haven't done that today. When I go down after 2 minutes, when you go down after 2 minutes, you know it's going to be a tough afternoon, but at least try and get yourself back in the game. It wasn't good enough to get themselves back in the game, which is very, very disappointing.
Coley, the bigger picture. United have lost 3 already this season, 7 points from 18. That's their joint fewest at this stage of any Premier League season. How do they get some hope and change in this situation at the moment?
It's simple. You've got to win football matches. We can talk about whatever we need to talk about, but it's the players, once they cross that white line, they've got to believe in each other. They've got to grind out results. And like I keep touching on, once you grind out results, you bring confidence back and you go on to win football matches. At this present moment in time, there's not a lot of that going on. And they're going to have to deal with it as players. They're going to have to sit down as individuals. And if you have to dig each other out, you do just that. But you've got to turn it around.
Coley, thank you very much indeed for your contributions.
Thank you.
Yeah, Bruno Fernandes wanting to speak as the captain.
That's nice of him, I suppose. Yeah, look, I don't know what more to say, Steve. I disagree with his comments about resilience, thanking his teammates for showing resilience. I actually thought Tottenham got a little bit sloppy with 10 men. He talks about they may have turned it around with 11 men. I think with 11 men, it could have been 3 or 4 already before he got sent off. So I think him getting sent off might have actually done him a favour. If it's 11 and be 11, I don't think Tottenham would have stopped. I thought they got really sloppy at times. Second half, Madison at times giving the ball away. So look, he's captain. He's got to come out and say the things he does, apologise and all that stuff. It means nothing. And he was right. It wasn't a red card, but he gave the opportunity to the referee to be able to do it. And it's again a real lack of discipline. OK, you alluded to the bigger picture and what Erik ten Hag had spent. So Dave and our production team, who's been busy working this out for you, Paul. He's got some figures and names for you as well. Let's look at some of his major signings since he came in just over 2 years. Anthony is the most expensive. He's the 3rd most expensive player in Manchester United's history. Højlund, Yoro, of course, who came in and is injured. Martinez, Onana, Ugarte, Casemiro, De Ligt and Zertsky. They're all 36.5 million plus since Erik ten Hag walked through the Manchester United door. Right, so in terms of spend and net spend, which is what Paul was asking for, here are the figures for Manchester United and compared to the other teams as well. Overall, 538.6 million. Only Chelsea, and we know what was happening there, have spent more. And the net spend is almost 385 million pounds. And again, only Chelsea have spent more money since Erik ten Hag was appointed Manchester United manager. And the obvious question, 385 million net spend later, is are they any further on?
And what have they got to show for it?
Absolutely not.
Well, I looked at that list
No,
then and I thought,
not.
is there any successes on that list?
No.
I mean, I think the goalkeeper, Onana's, decent. But
plenty of practice.
But to say, any of them are, are successes, I'd say none. And that's why I said if I was in charge of the purse strings now, I would say right.
Because that proves how much he's been back.
There's a couple of young players in that, though. You think of the Lenny Euros, he's not even played a game yet, so you've got to give...
Yeah. But there's only Chelsea spent more money since Ten Hag was appointed.
Yeah, look, Steve, we all know, everyone can see it, there's absolutely no improvement. As I said, the De Ligt, I just never got. I just didn't see a massive... If you're not signing, you're spending 50 million quid, I want a big rise. He's no Virgil van Dijk, is he?
Yeah.
He's coming in he might be a touch better than Maguire on today's evidence and evidence against good centre forwards, and even in Munich, he could get in Munich's team. And we're paying 50-odd million for him.
We talk about fixing the problems. He could have fixed that problem. I mean, we're talking about Man United still. It's a big attraction for any player to want to go there, right? He could have signed Declan Rice, who had no settling in period.
Harry Kane.
As a and Harry Kane, 2 players. And you would have got a nice bit of change. And you might have sold some, been able to sign some other little players around them. You're not only signing good players, you're signing proven Premier League players, good types in the dressing room, who may be influenced, and we know 100% for sure, I know firsthand, Harry Kane would influence others around him. And if they're not doing it in training every single day, he'd be telling them. You don't need the manager to do that. You need sometimes the manager helping that dressing room, but it comes from the top. If you're getting no respect from the top, don't expect your players to help you out. At the moment, I would look at that list and not only have they improved them, or has anyone been in success mode, I look at them and think, where do a lot of them play? I don't know. I can't say, well, he's a flyer on the outside. I'm not sure Anthony, for instance, I know he's been the most expensive, but he's been the poorest. And we're talking about a manager who signed him. He's not a surprise to him. He's someone who's worked with. How can he bring him into the football club and not play him? He's not playing him because he's fouled. So if I'm the owner of that football club and I'm giving him the checkbook, I'm saying, you knew this boy. You knew a lot of the other players you've brought into the club. Why on earth are you not playing them on a regular basis? Because it looks like you've wasted money, of the club's money, which they can ill afford to do. Go and spend it in the right areas. They've spent £400 million net, just short of, and they haven't moved on. They've gone backwards. They're not moving on at all. They need to get something right there, and they're not at the moment. The academy boys are getting them out of trouble.
We must take a break. By the way, anyone know who gave Harry Kane his debut? It's not been mentioned before. No.
No idea.
Well, Chris Foy is with us on the set because we're going to talk about the Bruno Fernandes red card in a second, Chris, so we'll get on to that in a moment. Dion, you play for Manchester United. You were very proud to do so. It's a great result for Tottenham. So if you support Tottenham around the world, you should be very pleased with the way your team played. But United are the story here, aren't they? Because, let's be honest, that was awful.
Yeah, it was. It's a hard watch. When United perform like that at home, it's a hard watch because, you know, they weren't beat with quality today. I think Man United were beaten by the energy and the organisation and the way Tottenham play, and there was no answer for anything that Tottenham threw at United. And all it is organisation, heart on your sleeve, blood, sweat and tears first, and then you play the game. And I didn't see any of that from United. A real hard watch today, that was.
Which begs the question, how can we be into season 3 of Erik ten Hag? And this is still happening, because it is still happening. This is not a one-off, Karen. If it was a one-off, you might be able to say, well, you know, we all have a bad day at the office, yada, yada. But that's not the case here.
No, you're right. And he's also been heavily backed in the transfer window, spent a lot of money. Look, I think I